Aha. I will grasp the situation, grasp it, and do another video. Hi there, I'm Jenny Kirk. Welcome to another Jenny Kirk channel video, and we're going to be doing another box opening and review, and we do the box opening and reviews that other channels don't seem to bother to touch. We're going to deal with some more rolling stock today, so without further ado, we've got a bit of a special 3-pack going on, a three for the price of one. So come on, let's take a closer look. Well, what we've got here today is one of the triple packs that Hornby released. And unlike Batman, who put their triple packs in a double-length box, which is actually pretty good on the old space saving when you're packing those boxes away, they tend to favour producing their 3 wagon packs like this. So you've got the 3 standard wagon-sized boxes in a kind of cardboard outer slipcase, which I thought initially at first glance that there's just a basic cardboard slipcase with the Hornby logo on there and everything, but actually the picture on the back, it's actually tailored to the particular wagons that are in them. And what we've got here is 3 of the BR 21-ton hopper wagons, and this is catalogue number R6782. And I recently did a video where I dealt with a couple of these wagons, and I was actually so impressed. I went out and I tracked down pretty much all of the ones that I could find still on the shelves, and this triple pack stood out to me, and picked it up, and it's actually a pretty reasonable price. It has to be said that some of these new Hornby wagons are coming through at a price that's actually the same sort of favourable levels that some of the Oxford Rail prices have been, and we did do an Oxford Rail wagon last time. So I'm going to slide these out, remove them from the outer slipcase, just put that to one side, and what we can see here is that actually, even though all 3 of these boxes show the same catalogue number of R6782, each of the boxes is slightly different and actually gives you the running number of the wagon that goes in there. So if you are one of the meticulous type of people like me, who at some point might want to put your stock back in the boxes for a variety of reasons, you can ensure that you get the wagons in exactly the same boxes. Now, we've already dealt at length with the construction of these wagons, so really what I want to look into here is the detail application. So I'm going to take the first of these wagons, and this, let's just see if we can get into this. I think we may have to take a break for technical reasons, for the same reason that we had last time. Hornby really do like to batten down the hatches with these boxes, so we've got into these now, and it's a pretty standard Hornby wagon box, same form factor as both the Oxford Rail and the Batman. Actually, I think it's the same form factor as the Daypole wagons for reasons that we've gone into before. I'm going to put that box to one side, and let's flip this out. And again, it's a superb wagon. I talked about this last time. So if you want to take a look at the full review where we go really in-depth, down dirty and deep into the construction of this model from Hornby, have a look at the link up there and give that a tickle, and that'll take you to that review, and you can look at that in depth and then come back to this video and get a good look at the livery application on this triple pack. There really is very little, if not nothing, to fault with the wagon itself. They've pulled out all the stops. Everything about this is pretty much perfect. Doesn't have sprung buffers, and some people might find that a little bit of a detraction, but really, I'm not really bothered about that. Even the underside is pretty good going there. But what I really wanted to look at with these is the livery application, and these are presented in the sort of 1960s, the late BR period, period, the late BR steam period livery of we kind of got this pseudo pre-tops code of HOP 21. They later became coded HTO wagons, but these would be suitable for running right through into the 1980s potentially, because a lot of these wagons would have been a long time between works visits, so you would have seen a mix of the tops code with the pre-tops code, so I'm not really too bothered about that. One of the other things that we discovered last time, and it really goes to show that here on the Jenny Kirk channel, we like to look closer than anybody else does, and we were the first to notice that there was a rather strange little message tampo printed on the sole bar, and it actually led to quite a Twitter exchange with Hornby, and they did actually then admit that one of their design team had found the original source photograph so difficult to read, they'd put that little Easter egg in there, and I think that was a little bit of a case of, I suspect that the conversation with their design team probably went along the lines of, oh yeah, I forgot to mention about that, you know that photo you gave us to work off, we couldn't read one of the things, and we meant to get round to that. I have also talked to Paul Bartlett, who identified that he had the original photograph that Hornby were probably working from for their wagon, and he said at the resolution that they bought a copy of it, they wouldn't have been able to read it. But he provided a much zoomed in version, and we were actually able to read what it said on that little panel. So we did get to the bottom of that mystery. So Hornby, if you're watching this, go and talk to Paul. He knows what you should have put in that thing. We also identified that one of their forthcoming wagons, they've managed to port across, probably cut and paste in the pad, the same thing. But looking at these wagons, they're not so encumbered. So we've got pretty crisp renditions of the build plate, the works plates on there, and the close guides on there. We've got the wheelbase, 12 feet, and the 9.2 there, that's the tear weight, or what the wagon weighs when it's empty. And you'd have thought, well, surely if they're all the same design, they should all weigh the same. You would have thought so, but there seems to have been variations both in the build of the wagons, but also if they've had to have plating repairs, they can kind of put on a little bit of weight with some of the metal patches that would have been welded or riveted on there. This actually is interesting. They were a London and North Eastern Railway designed wagon, and certainly the earlier ones were built by the London and North Eastern Railway, not just at Shildon. I believe last time I talked about them having been built at Shildon, but they were also built at some of the other wagon works out and about, and they were actually more widespread than I initially thought. They did work various traffic flows up and down the country. The ones across Stainmore I was particularly familiar with, but they did also work all the way down south too. This one has a B number, and that means that this is one of the later build ones, post-nationalisation, and the build works plate down there does also give that away. In fact, one of the things we noticed last time was that on the axle box covers they had London and North Eastern Railway, so I'm just looking closely there, and yeah, we appear to have LNE. So it doesn't appear that Hornby have changed the moulds in any way, but then again I don't know whether it may be that the axle box covers may have been mixed and matched, so wagons as they passed through works may have had these swapped with other wagons, and also it may be the case that the patterns used for casting some of these wouldn't have been changed immediately, so it's quite probable that a BR build wagon could have emerged from works with axle box covers that still said London and North Eastern Railway. If we look at the end, we've got the overhead warning flashes on there, which is another thing indicative of a later liveried wagon. We've got them at both ends, and really this was just to warn staff that there's a possibility you didn't want to climb up onto these wagons until you made sure that there wasn't overhead lines above, or at least if there were any there, just to be aware not to sort of stand right up on top of the load. And it was the case that sometimes if these wagons were loaded with coal that then subsequently got wet, and then in winter, it was a particular problem. It could freeze, and when the bottom doors of the wagon were opened to unload these, sometimes the load would actually stay put. And I don't know whether staff would have been tempted to kind of climb on top and jump up and down in a kind of Bugs Bunny, Looney Tunes type way, but you wouldn't really want to do that, because when it went, probably went in one big hurry. It's also the case that I've seen some film footage of NCB internal user wagons of these at the coal staiths at Hetton, where it's quite apparent that some of the wagons leaving supposedly empty from the unloading facilities actually still had a full load in, and I'm not sure whether that was because the load had frozen into them or just they had an issue with the unloading levers underneath. And it may be the case that it was too much like hard work to shunt a wagon from the middle of a rake out, so it would have just trundled backwards and forwards with the same load stuck in it. If we look on the other side, we've got pretty much the same livery details on there. We can see there's sort of, I think that's something to do with perhaps maintenance, something like that. We'll see a little bit more detail of that on the close-up, just printed there on the underside of the hopper. And then we've also got this white square, which is something I've seen on a lot of wagons, and I think it's something to do with the later livery. I don't know whether it was supposed to be an area where you could clip a kind of trip ticket which would give information for shunting, or whether indeed it was something that was intended to have other details in, maybe an XP that were then not applied, but for some reason the white square has been applied. I'm not really sure about that. So let's put that to one side and take a look at the next wagon. And I can see that actually these three wagons are very, very similar. And I suspect that the only real difference between these three is simply the running number will be different between them. So let's just get this out and put the box to one side, and yeah, we can see there we've got the same British Rail build plate on the side, pretty much the same livery applications. In fact, I think if we compare them both, we've even got the same tear weight. They are consecutive build numbers, so it stands to reason that these wagons in ex-works condition should have pretty much the same tear weight. So we can see that all of the same applications. The quality control of the Hornby wagons is pretty good, so I'm not seeing any flaws or any differences in assembly of these wagons. It's pretty good there. So I'm going to move on fairly quickly to the final wagon of this set. And again, same standard packaging, same finish details, same tempo printing, same tear weight. The only difference between this and the other two is that we've got consecutive wagon numbers, and this is something that Hornby does in all of their triple packs, I've noticed. I do actually have a triple pack of Engineers taupe wagons, and they're all three consecutive numbers, and it's something that Bachmann don't do this. When you get a triple pack from Bachmann, they tend to be much more randomised numbers. And whilst it's not inconceivable that you would get three consecutive wagon numbers, really, in the general run of things, these wagons did tend to get rather mixed up. So I'm going to mix these in with other wagons. I'm going to make up, I've got 7 wagons in total, so they'll get mixed up in the rake. And certainly it's a case of, if you want to weather these wagons, that tends to hide a few detail differences. And they never stayed this clean for long. So it's something that, you know, if you're really wanting to do a good dose of weathering on these, and they really will look the part. And it's something that I'd be really interested to see. Will Hornby bring out factory weathered version of these in the future? That would be good to see. And certainly if they can do the weathering up to the same sort of standards that Bachmann have been using the tempo printing process to replicate, we really will get a treat if they can do that. So really looking forward to that. They've got 2 more of these wagons announced for release later this year, 2018, and I'm really looking forward to them. These wagons have impressed me probably more so than any other wagons that Hornby have brought to the market recently. and I'll be building these up into a really good long-sized rake for my forthcoming layout that I'm planning on building when I convert my loft. So stay tuned for that. Well, I hope that's been informative to you. Don't forget to like this video, share it too, and also subscribe to the channel. It's really, really important, and you'll be the first to know about new videos as and when they go up. And also, don't forget to check out the Patreon page if you really, really want to support me and the channel and make more videos really, really possible. But until next time, it's me, Jenny Kirk, saying take very, very good care of yourself. Bye for now. If you liked today's video, please consider checking out my Patreon page where you can help me to keep making the videos that you love. Thank you. Today's video has been brought to you by my books, Bringing Home the Stars, Twinkle Little Star, and also you can get the complete comic collections of All Over the House, Books 1, Books 2, and also the wacky zany Life of Knob T Mouse. Thanks, and catch you later.